Good afternoon, and welcome students, faculty, trustees, and guests to our 2020 William Adset Convocation and Honors Assembly. The Adset Lecture Series was endowed by Harriet McNulty Adset, the class of 1926, and her husband Wilcox in 1999. The program was established to complement and enrich the curriculum offered to Buffalo Seminary. This afternoon, we will reflect upon two pillars of SEM: our commitment to an extraordinary educational experience and our honor code. Last year, Board Chair Patrick Long addressed the song Jerusalem. He reminded us of the poetry and history behind the song and why the words still resonate today. In the context of industrialization and social reform, there was a call to action to build Jerusalem. This year, we begin school in unprecedented times. We are grappling with a global pandemic and the reckoning of our past and the persistence of racism in our country and beyond. Our convocation ceremony officially marks the beginning of the academic year at SEM. And today, we shift from practicing our routines, figuring out how to get into lunch and which way to go around the building, to focusing on our core values and how honor will guide us as we meet the challenges ahead. Last evening, board member and member of our anti-racist task force, Elizabeth Roach, wrote me and shared a quote from recently deceased Congressman John Lewis. He said, "When historians pick up their pens to write the history of the 21st century, let them say that it was your generation that laid down the heavy burdens of hate at last. Let the spirit of peace and the power of everlasting love be your guide." We are living in a historic time. How we respond can define the future not only for ourselves, but also for generations to come. At this important moment in time, it is my pleasure to introduce our William Adset Lecturer and Convocation Speaker, Dr. Jennifer Roberts, class of 1992. Dr. Roberts is a kinesiology professor in the School of Public Health at the University of Maryland. Her work and research examine the impact of built, social, and natural environments, including the institutional and structural inequities of these environments on the public health outcomes of marginalized communities. She has received numerous awards for her scholarship and was recently awarded a JPB Environmental Health Fellowship by Harvard University's T.H. Chan School of Public Health. After graduating from SEM, Jennifer earned her undergraduate degree from Brown University, her master's degree from Emory University, and her doctorate from Johns Hopkins University. She is a current member of SEM's Board of Trustees and co-chair of our anti-racist task force. Dr. Roberts remains connected to Buffalo and SEM. She and her husband love to come to her childhood home and explore whenever they can. Although the times prevent her from being here in person today, we are fortunate that Jennifer can join us through the power of Zoom this afternoon. It is my honor to welcome her to our stage and our screen. Welcome, Jennifer. But wait a second, we're not hearing you. Just a moment.
Okay.
Oh, better.
Good to go?
Good to go.
Good to go. Thank you. Thank you, Helen. Good afternoon. Mrs. Marlette, our head of school, faculty, trustees, students, and other invited guests. It is my honor and pleasure to welcome all of you to a new year at Buffalo Seminary. I would like to especially welcome our incoming freshmen and all our new and returning students. I am speaking on behalf of the faculty when I say that I am so thrilled to see you here, because over the last 7 months, all of our lives have been COVIDized. So I'm not sure if I really made up that word or if I heard it somewhere, but the word COVIDize is really the only word that can convey how our lives have been upended. But when we stop to think, pause, and reflect, we can see that even though our lives have been COVIDized, in many ways, the human spirit has also been galvanized to do better for each other, civilized to act better for each other, and incentivized to live better for each other. Do better, act better, live better. So let's start with do better. If you could guess, how many more times have you washed your hands or really thought about washing your hands in the last 7 months? This has been a period where the word epidemiology has become part of our everyday vernacular. Most of us may not know the most formalized definition of the word, but that's okay, because we know that it has something to do with public health, saving lives, and preventing the spread of disease. That last part, preventing the spread of disease, has become the incentive for us to do better. When COVID-19 first arrived in the United States, we quickly realized that our older adults and folks with certain underlying medical conditions were the most at risk for severe COVID-19 illness. We also saw that in one nursing home in King County, Washington, over 80 residents were infected with COVID-19, resulting in 23 deaths. And in May, the Buffalo News reported that more than 240 residents of nursing homes in Erie and Niagara counties died in confirmed or suspected COVID-19 cases, including the Buffalo Center for Rehabilitation and Nursing, which is just 2 miles away from SEM on Delaware Avenue. This really frightened us. These folks were our parents, our grandparents, our great grandparents, those who were the most vulnerable to this virus, and we needed to figure out how to do better. These folks were Mrs. Hortense Nash, a Buffalo treasure, accomplished musician, educator, civil rights activist, and a dear extended family member of mine, who, as a result of COVID-19, entered eternal rest this past Saturday morning. Grandma Nash was just shy of her 95th birthday. We also began to realize that we all were at risk and that we all needed to work together to protect us from this deadly virus. During the 1918 influenza pandemic, the very same public health response measures were taken as what we're doing today: stay-at-home orders, social distancing, mask wearing, hand washing, and they all worked. There was no vaccine that stopped the 1918 pandemic 100 years ago. It was these simple, non-pharmaceutical public health measures. And if you think about it, who do these measures help the most? Other people. We were and are still seeing that there is a lot of asymptomatic infection manifesting around us. Folks are walking around who don't even know they're infected, giving it to other folks. Now I get it. At the beginning of the pandemic, both the World Health Organization and our Centers for Disease Control and Prevention told us not to wear masks. But then they course corrected when more evidence showed that mask wearing can really protect others, particularly the most susceptible populations. So when we realized that mask wearing was not so much for our individual protection, although there is some benefit, but it was a way we could reduce the risk of transmission to others. Many of us were galvanized to do better. This pandemic made us understand that life is not just about our individual needs and wants. Sometimes the collective good outweighs a little discomfort or displeasure from wearing a mask or sheltering in place for a few weeks. How we act as a community now defines how we will be remembered in the future. With an initial shortage of surgical masks, so many people came together or individually started making and donating masks for healthcare workers, essential workers, and anyone who needed a mask. Fabric stores like Joann Fabric released how to make mask videos. And so many of our STEM girls came together to wear their masks and sew masks for teachers, staff, and others. As the July STEM news story stated, this mask sewing initiative was girl powered, community minded, and forward thinking. You all should be proud because STEM girls were galvanized to do better, and you did better for others. Now let's talk about act better. Just when we thought our lives, or should I say some of our lives, could not be any more turned upside down with this COVID-19 pandemic, this nation experienced the remarkable swelling of racial tensions after the murder of George Floyd, an unarmed black man, by the hands of a white Minneapolis police officer. Protesters throughout the country and around the streets with signs saying racism is a pandemic, silence is violence, Black Lives Matter, or racism is a public health crisis. And in the most paradoxical way, many protesters marched adorned with face masks to prevent COVID-19 transmission while carrying signs that said, I can't breathe. The dying words uttered by George Floyd more than 20 times as the Minneapolis police officer pressed his knee into his neck. While we all were COVIDized in this extraordinary pandemic that relegated us to the most fundamental public health measures of quarantining and mask wearing, humanity was challenged and civilized to act better for each other. Many of us saw this moment as an opportunity for change, an opportunity to say no more. No more George Floyd's, Breonna Taylor's, Philando Castile, Eric Gardner's, Alton Sterling's, Trayvon Martin's, Michael Brown's, Tamir Rice, Ahmaud Arbery, Jacob Blake's, and so many more Black men and women who have been dehumanized and killed all because of the color of their skin. Many of us saw this as an opportunity to act better for each other, but did not quite know how. That's okay, because it's going to take time for us to come together to eradicate over 400 years of racist ideologies and practices and policies, all of the underpinnings of what built this nation. These underpinnings have sustained and perpetuated inequities imbued by racism, which have permeated education, housing, employment, healthcare, policing, pretty much every single aspect of our lives. Not all of us flooded to the streets to protest, but so many folks started to talk and then act, because there was an overwhelming and compelling need to act better for each other. At SEM, we have figured out one very important way that we're going to act better, and that is through the newly established Anti-Racism Task Force. Along with my dear friend of 41 years, yes, I did say 41 years, Kate Bowen Smith, and I are leading this task force with our board of trustees and with the guidance and expertise of another STEM alumna, Nicole Lee, to fully complete this mission of STEM being an anti-racist community. From affinity groups to changes in conflict protocol, the task force will listen and address what is needed from students, faculty, and alumni. For too long, direct talk about racism has been avoided, and SEM has declared its commitment to do better, act better for each other. Act is an action word, and SEM, with your help, is taking action. So this leads us finally to live better. Yes, we have been COVIDized for 7 months and probably for another who knows how many more months. But at this time, based on what I've been talking about, there has been a silver lining. I know I've been incentivized to live better for myself and for each other, and I hope you have too. Okay, I asked earlier, how many more times have you washed your hands? If you have been washing your hands more, that's definitely a great thing. But how about this? During this pandemic, how many more times have you gone to the park? How many more times have you taken a walk? How many more new meals have you learned to prepare? Or how many more meals have you ordered from a local family restaurant? Have you gotten more sleep? How many more hours have you spent with your family and your household? How many more laughs have you had over Zoom calls? Okay, you get the idea. If you've answered in any additive or multiplicative way, that means you've gotten an increased dose of nature, more physical activity, more home cooked meals, or supported local businesses. You've perhaps gotten more sleep, spent more good quality time with family, friends, or acquaintances. These are all really good things that enrich our lives, not in our pockets, but our spirits, our hearts, and our intellect. Okay, so fresh women. I can't see you, fresh women, but this is your first year of high school. It's brand new, exciting, and probably a little nerve wracking. But just take one day at a time, and before you know it, everything will feel like second nature. Sophomores, girls, you got this. Your first year of SEM was completely disrupted and derailed, but you got through it, and you are here a year wiser and a year older. Keep your minds and hearts open, and you will receive gifts of knowledge and enlightenment. Juniors, it's your first time being an upper class woman. You might be a little nervous again, like freshwoman year, and that's okay. Study hard, play hard, but please give yourself a break. You are 16 years of age, give or take, and it's okay if you don't have it all figured out. I'm 46 years old, and I still don't have it figured out. Finally, my senior women, take the lead. You've earned it. I can't promise that by June, when it's time for you to have all the pomp, that the circumstances will allow for it. But I can promise that this academic year will start your journey to creating a new and more evolved normal. Our lives may still be COVIDized next June, but through your STEM education and all the humanity that comes with being a part of the STEM community, you can help to heal our afflictions and apply the best of which you've learned and felt in your heart. I urge you all to step into this new academic year with a robust sense of morality that is guided by mutuality and fallibilism. Now, what do I mean by this? Well, mutuality refers to sharing a feeling, state of being, or relationship with someone else. And fallibilism is the capacity to change one's mind or accept knowledge that cannot be proven with certainty. Think of it this way: mutuality refers to how can I be a better friend? And fallibilism asks, how can I be a better thinker? When you begin this new year, use these questions to direct you to a new and deeper connection and to an increased awareness and consciousness. After living through this crisis, many of you may have been inspired to pursue careers in epidemiology, virology, medicine, or perhaps law and policy. And STEM is the best place to cultivate your inspirations. To pursue your education in the midst of crisis and upheaval is one of the single most crucial acts of resilience and tenacity you can undertake. You are our future thinkers, creators, and entrepreneurs in a world that has many challenges. I hope you feel ready to hit the ground running with your studies to become these leaders. But remember to keep living better. Don't stop those park or green space visits, or those walks, or those family meal preps, or moments spent laughing with family and friends. Life is a series of beautiful moments, and some not so beautiful. But I want you to enjoy this moment, this brand new academic year, and this is a beautiful moment. Treasure it and don't forget it. I wish you all a happy and healthy year. Virtual hugs to you all. Thank you.
Jennifer, thank you. You always amaze me with the ability to both ask me to think seriously, but also reflect and take time to enjoy that which is around me, the people and the place. I hope we all are called to acting better this year by you. Thank you. I can't wait till you can come home and be in our building so the girls can meet you themselves. It's been wonderful. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's now my pleasure to introduce Mrs. Derlin. She will lead us in our honor assembly now. Jen, you can stick around. Or we'll see you next meeting time. Great. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you.
Hi.
Hi.
It's nice to see you. Thank you so much. It's a hard act to follow. Thank you very much for doing that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm going to go and look into the live Zoom now, but it was great to see you, and I hope to see you soon in person.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Roberts.
Bye-bye.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. Again, Dr. Roberts has already done a fabulous job of kicking off this ceremony, of thanking everyone in the community for coming together under very unique circumstances to enjoy a tradition and a very important and reverential day at SEM. So, what we're here to do, and some of you already know this because this is not new to you, but for those of you that are new to SEM, this day, our Honor Code ceremony is about understanding and committing or recommitting to our collective values and responsibilities. Simply put, and you'll see in a minute, hopefully if technology holds up, and thanks to our wonderful tech team, I will ask that Miss Maya Angelou say it in a more eloquent and beautiful way than I ever possibly could. Some of you have seen this before. If you will certainly see it again. But let's hear very briefly from Miss Angelou. She's going to speak about this painting that you should be able to see projected in a moment. And she's going to speak to, again, what we're here to talk about, which is doing what is right. Excuse me.
I have a painting by Phoebe of a group that she calls Sister Suki's Funeral. And all the women, there are about 9 women, and they all look like women in my grandmother's prayer meeting group. So whenever I'm obliged to do something, I take that painting and I look at that painting. There's an empty chair. And I think, now what would Grandma do? What would she say? I can almost hear her voice say, now, sister, you know what's right. Just do right. You don't really have to ask anybody. The truth is, right may not be expedient. It may not be profitable, but it will satisfy your soul.
So truly, I wasn't kidding. No one can say it better. Now, it really is that simple. You know, I know, we all know what is right and how to do right. And it really is that hard, as Miss Angelou says, to do right, to adhere to our codes may not be expedient, meaning it may not be convenient or practical. It will not be profitable, not winning you favor or money, but to be at peace, to act with integrity is, in my humble opinion, joyous. Now, I know Mrs. Hopkins out there somewhere is saying there's too much text on this screen, and she is right. And yet, because these statements, these codes, our mission, are at the foundation of how we consider and practice what is right, I'm insisting on breaking the rules, keeping them up there, and reading from the screen. We all play a part in doing right, in building and maintaining the community and culture of this school. Missions, statements, codes are ways of saying what we stand for, professing what we aspire to do, and being accountable. When you write it down and you put it somewhere, people can point to that and say, are we doing that? As I read through these governing statements, take them in, take them seriously, and please understand them as something that we share. In a beautiful and daunting way, we share them. We are made better when we're living up to what guides us, and we're challenged and humbled when we are not serving these ideals. Our mission: Buffalo Seminary educates college-bound young women from diverse backgrounds in a vigorous and participatory environment that emphasizes development of character, intellectual independence, creativity, service, and leadership for life. Buffalo Seminary strives to make each girl proud of her ability to shape society rather than be controlled by it, and to awaken each student to the opportunities available to women. Our vision: SEM will be a leader in secondary education for girls, a school distinguished by the quality of its faculty and innovative academic program, its traditions of leadership and character development, and its supportive, inclusive environment that helps each young woman grow and flourish in her own way. The extraordinary diversity of talent, experiences, and backgrounds in the SEM community will ensure that each of its graduates finds her voice, becomes an active and engaged citizen, confident in her abilities, resilient in her outlook, and respectful of the world around her. Our diversity statement: at Buffalo Seminary, we celebrate our diverse identities and perspectives. We embrace diversity as necessary for our collective growth and achievement. To fulfill this purpose, we welcome and seek students, families, and employees who contribute to the richness of our diverse community. And we work every day to ensure that all who come within our walls have what they need to realize their potential and to participate fully in school life. And another piece, the titled focus of what we're focusing on today, our honor code. Academic honor requires respect for the intellectual and artistic property of others. The honor pledge should be written and signed by students on all class tests, papers, examinations, and other works which a faculty member designates as an honor assignment. And social honor requires treating ourselves and the other people in the community with respect, communicating honestly with one another, valuing our differences, and representing our school in a positive way. Now, in a moment, you'll hear from Ms. Wagner and members of the Community Honor Board, and they're going to talk with you about the Honor Code and the ways in which it should guide students and how the Community Honor Board monitors student conduct and school culture. And before I hand the stage over to them, I want to share some updates with you all, and some of them Dr. Roberts alluded to, some updates about the Community Honor Board and the ways in which we're going to support more strongly, more ferociously, inclusion and school culture. So, again, I'm going to refer to, some of you have heard this before, some of you have seen some of this before, and for those of you that are new, if there's something you're missing or a definition or a piece that you don't understand, don't worry, you'll hear from me again, and we will revisit these ideas, and your teachers and everyone here is to support you. So no worries if you're not quite up to speed, and for those of you who are sitting through this again, you're welcome for the refresher. In my role as Director of Equity, for those of you that are new to SEM, as I said, you're maybe not so interested in a refresher, and for some of you who are just coming in for the first time, this might be a little bit new, but please don't worry. So we're going to talk about assessing fairness. And I guess that's sort of the biggest takeaway I want students to understand. In terms of my role in the school, I'm the point person in terms of assessing fairness, all right? From policies to placement to punishment. It's important to me, and it's important to the positive functioning of our school that we keep an eye on these things and we strive to be ever better. So with that in mind, I will be joining the Community Honor Board this year. And again, you'll hear a little bit more about what that will look like from the Honor Code members, and they'll detail that for you in a little bit. But as far as my presence on the board, I just want to be present, listen, help assess, and outside of the official sessions, advocate for you students. On that note, students, you should feel free to reach out to meet with or ask questions of any trusted adult in the building, and I hope you consider me one of those trusted adults. If you have any questions about equity and inclusion, please make time to come and see me, to send me an email, to reach out. I would be remiss if I did not note about me joining the Community Honor Board that we are going to take particular care to address bias, mistreatment, microaggressions, hate, and bullying by any name. Episodes of racism at SEM, particularly via social media, have gone unaddressed because students involved have felt unable or unwilling to report incidents. We know that we need to be clear about our policies as a whole. Communicate them with you consistently, clearly. That's a part of what we're doing here today, that we do each year and we will continue to do more of. We know that you all need to know what the protocol is for handling such conflicts so you do not feel like you are alone or you need to tolerate things that are not right. The Black Lives Matter movement has made people and institutions more aware of and more willing to respond to ugly realities of racism in America. Our institution will do its part in identifying and eradicating the ways in which bias, discrimination, and hate express themselves. We have to live up to what we profess. The mission, the statements, our code, they all speak to diversity, equity, and inclusion. So students, know that we take this stuff seriously, and we'll hear you out, and we'll address the issues that you bring forward, the conflicts that arise. And you need to know that you have to take this stuff seriously. What you do and say matters. The grown folk in the building will do our part in serving you, and at the same time, you take on your own responsibility to speak and act kindly and with integrity. This is a joint project. To be clear, we do not and will not tolerate hate, bias, or bullying of any kind at SEM. Everyone who works at this school is behind our mission, our statement, codes, aims, and while I'm the point person for this work, it is too big to do alone, and no one wants that to be the way that we operate. Everyone in this school is invested in us being a wonderful place to be educated and a wonderful place to grow and transform. On that note, a new initiative to help share in initiatives and to help serve students. We do this year now have a diversity, equity, and inclusion committee, which includes Ms. Miller, Ms. Wright, and Ms. Silverstein. All are wonderful teachers in their own right and people you can go to with questions, concerns, ideas, along with myself and other trusted adults in the community. Now, I know that what I've shared is heavy. It is. In the end, if you remember nothing else or are challenged by what I've said, remember what you heard from Ms. Angelou. Do right. You all know what that means, and we are all here to help one another when it gets hard. Thank you for hearing from me. I now invite Ms. Wagner and the Community Honor Board members to walk you through the official Honor Code signing ceremony and speaking to what the Honor Code means to them. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Mrs. Wagner. I'm the chair of the Community Honor Board, or CHB for short. The Community Honor Board reviews most academic and social honor offenses and makes a recommendation to the head of school. The committee comprises the Vice President of School Government and 4 class vice presidents from the current and previous years to serve a 2-year term, accompanied by 1 residential prefect and 3 faculty members. The committee hearings are facilitated by myself and overseen by the Dean of Students and Director of Equity. That would be Ms. Cunningham and Mrs. Derland. A student who violates our honor code or major school rules will be reported to the Dean of Students, and a referral to the Community Honor Board may be made. Any student who is asked to appear before the committee is required to attend the meeting, accompanied by their advisor. And the student's parents are also notified. During the hearing, the student is given an opportunity to provide their account of the infraction, and the committee members may ask follow-up questions. The committee's deliberations are then confidential, and a recommendation for disciplinary action is made for the head of school to review. The student then meets with Mrs. Marlette. Each case is considered in relation to its own unique circumstances. Serious or repeated violations of the honor code may result in suspension, probation, or expulsion. I'd now like to invite up a few of our CHB members to share a bit more.
Hi, I'm Eva. I'm currently serving my 2nd year on the Community Honor Board, and one of the most important parts of our STEM community is our honor code, because not only does it create a sense of trust between teachers and students, it also allows students more freedom. Teachers and administrators can rely on students to uphold the academic and social honor code, both inside and outside of school. However, if a situation you are involved in is brought to the attention of the Community Honor Board, it is most important that you be honest and sincere. The Honor Board is not meant to be scary. Our goal is to help our community learn from our mistakes, do better in the future, and become a more active, mindful, and respectful member of the STEM community.
Hi, my name is Dagny, and I am a member of the Community Honor Board as well as the SGA president. The Honor Code follows the values of honesty, confidentiality, fairness, and a multitude of others. These values are not only important for maintaining a trustworthy school environment, but also in your future. Just like the Honor Code is the foundations of STEM, the values it teaches are the same values you will need to build the foundations of any relationship, whether it be work, school, or otherwise.
Hi, I'm Angelina Miles, and I'm a member of the Community Honor Board as well as SGA Vice President. Having started my 3rd year at SEM, I've learned to fully embrace the Honor Code at SEM and its impact on our community. To me, the Honor Code is an integral part of our community and something that adds to its uniqueness. The Honor Code establishes a trusting relationship between students and faculty, and with this trust, we strengthen our integrity as a whole.
Thank you, Eva, Dagny, and Angelina. We're now going to begin signing the board, and those of you present in the chapel today will sign, and then everyone who's watching from their classrooms will have a chance to sign in the chapel at another time. While we're signing, you'll get to listen to some beautiful music by the Spirio piano. And we're going to kick off our signing with Eva, Dagny, and Angelina. They'll show you kind of what we're going to do. You'll grab a fresh pen, sign starting at the top, going across and then down. Unless you can't reach, then you can sign elsewhere. And then please place your pen when you're finished on the piano to be cleaned afterwards. We'll go up one at a time, of course, and we'll start with you, Eva. Thank you.
thank you to everyone who participated today in the chapel. It is this ceremony to me that reminds me of what a special place SEM is and the part we all play in it. I am absolutely proud to be part of this community, part of this institution, and part of the history. I am looking forward to working with each one of you this year to make not only our own community a better place, but also to spread beyond our own walls. On the mundane side, all of you who have not yet been able to sign the honor board, you will be given that opportunity when you are here for morning meeting. You will do that by class throughout the next 4 days. The board will stay here. And tomorrow morning for morning meeting, we ask that everyone go to their first period class. And faculty, I'd like you to join me in the chapel tomorrow morning. And that basically concludes this ceremony. I am proud, I am grateful, and seniors, you can lead us out. Have a wonderful afternoon. See you tomorrow.